say to me in Bowers Game
Hi there,
Corner?
YouTube. I'm back again for another How to Play video. Today I'm very excited to teach you how to play Funemployed. This is for 3+ players, ages 18+. And the first thing you're going to want to do in this game is separate the two different types of cards and shuffle them all up. So shuffle all the green cards up and then shuffle all the black cards up. And then you are going to decide who's going to be your first employer. And you're going to take turns going around the table clockwise being employer. So what the employer is going to do is they are going to draw and flip over 10 cards, place them into the center of the table, and then deal out 4 cards to every other non-employer player. These are going to be called the applicants. So in this game, we have 3 applicants and we have 1 employer. Now, with the board set up like this, the 1 employer is then going to flip over the top green card, and that is going to be the job that the applicants are trying to get. Now, the last thing we need to do is make sure our employer has some cards. However, the employer does not get 4 cards. They get the same number of cards as there are applicants. So since we have 3 applicants, the employer is going to get 3 black back cards. Now, with everyone having their black back cards, you're going to take a look at all the cards in the center, and you're going to swap out any cards from your hand that you might not like with cards from the center. And you just kind of do this all popcorn freeform fashion. Now, why would you want some of these specific words? Well, because you are going to need these words in order to try and get this job. So I'll give you an example of how a mock turn would go. So this player right here would say, oh, well, you're looking for a barista? Well, here you go. I'll tell you what, I'm a raging alcoholic who owns a boat, which means I'm massively in debt. I always need more money, so yeah, I'll work on the weekends. I also am just rabid about making people happy, so I will make sure their orders get correct, and if I ever go off the deep end, I got really bad aim, so you don't have to worry about a thing. So that is what one of your turns is going to look like. So you're going to use these cards to try and seamlessly interweave together some sort of story or narrative about why you would be the best person to take this job. But let's rewind a little bit right now, and let's go back to all the cards in the middle. So every player is now going to be able to trade cards from their hand 1-to-1 from cards here. So if this player did not like any of their 3 cards, they could swap out all 3 of these for 3 different separate cards, but they would leave their cards there. So for instance, this cannibalism would get replaced by plenty of pockets. And then someone else might say, oh, the cannibalism is going to fit in perfectly with my pothead pound. But eventually what's going to happen is every single player is going to be happy with the cards in their hand, and you leave the 10 cards out. But once that's been decided, that's when people are going to start pitching their stories. So let's go back to this story about the person that owns a boat, the raging alcoholic with a really bad aim. So they have made their pitch to the applicant. Now, the applicant, you noticed, was also picking out cards. And the reason why is they're going to come up with a rebuttal to the person each and every time. So essentially, when you're the employer, you're going to have 1 card for each player to try and slap them down and make it so that their claim to getting this job is a little less. So let's just say, how am I supposed to hire you to make people's coffee when you can't feel anything because you're too drunk? And that might be when they would come back with the response of, oh, I'm only a raging alcoholic when I'm on my boat. And depending on their comeback, along with their pitch, the applicant that has the best of both of those is going to win the round. And who gets to make that decision? Well, it's the employer. So essentially, each round, one person is going to be the judge, and they are going to decide which of the people who were telling the stories did the best job of doing that, and then also responding to whatever their comeback is. So to clarify, this person would tell their story about the boat. The employer would play a card in response. This person would then respond to that. And then the next player would tell their story about why they're the best barista. Then this player would once again play a card. They would respond. And you do that until every applicant has gotten to tell their side of the story about why they could do the job, and then also a response. Now, the rules do not claim that you have to use all of your cards. So if you can't figure out how you could potentially use really bad aim to get a job as a barista, if it does make sense when they come back, you could use it as part of your rebuttal to the employer. But anywho, the employer is going to pick who they thought did a best job of the applicants. They are going to get a card. All the cards in everyone's hands or got played in front of them is immediately discarded and set off to the side. You won't need it. The 10 cards that were out there stay there, and then everyone draws back up to their hand size. So the next person who is the employer would be drawing 3 cards, and everyone else would be drawing 4 cards in this particular instance. And then you just repeat everything you did in the previous round. Now, if you have 3 to 6 players, you're going to make sure that everyone gets to be the employer twice, and whoever has the most victory cards at the end of that will win. And if you have 6 or more players, you only play 1 round, but whoever has the most cards after 1 round wins the game. And if there's a tie, the tied players share the victory. But that's how you're going to play Funemployed. If this helped you out, please consider giving it a thumbs up. Also, consider subscribing as I teach new games all the time. And as always, thanks for your time and go have some fun. This video is brought to you by all of my amazing Patreon supporters, and I would love it if you would join their ranks and have your name immortalized in the end of many of my videos for the end of time. But consider for only $1 a month, and as always, thanks for stopping by.